Hello everybody, Treno here, and today we are taking a look at the Object 211, which is coming to the Chinese tech tree. And this is supposed to be a replacement for the Soviet PT-76. Now, of course, even though this is replacing the PT-76, if you've already bought or researched it, you will be able to keep that. And they have changed the dev block, so it sounds like it's going to be in a folder, which isn't going to make much difference if you've already got it, but obviously that does help out a little bit. I suppose if you've unlocked it but not bought it and not intending on buying it, now that it's been removed, it removes that obstacle to the higher tiers. And this is coming in between the M24 at 3.7 and the Type 63-1 at 6.3. And in many ways this is similar to the PT-76, but also worse in some other ways. So for example, we lose the heat shell. This doesn't have a heat shell. It has an APHE-BC shell with 124mm penetration at 500 meters, but with 164 grams of TNT. Or you've got an APC-BC shell with a penetration of 154mm at 500 meters, but only 67 grams of TNT. If you compare that to the PT-76, obviously those rounds are much better than the PT-76 APHE and APCR round, but inferior to the heat round, which has 200mm of penetration. So like I say, better in some ways, but worse in others. Of course, there is a slight disadvantage in that the reload rate is now 9.6 seconds, compared to the PT-76 of only 6.5 seconds. So obviously 3 seconds extra reload rate, more or less. And in addition to that, you have your 7.62mm machine gun in the coaxial position. And it's got quite good zoom optics. It's got 4 to 12 times zoom, which is pretty good for 5.0. And while it doesn't have smoke grenades, it does have the smoke generating system on the tank itself, so you can provide yourself a little bit of cover from enemies. And of course, you're going to be needing to rely on not getting hit by enemies because the armour is very thin. As you can see, a maximum armour on the turret of 20mm and 15 for the hull, and with sloping that maybe goes up to about 50mm at certain points from the front. But for the most part, anything that shoots you is going to penetrate and obviously deal good damage to you. And of course we've got these bits here, so it can be used as an amphibious vehicle, presumably, like with the PT-76. And this is a decently fast vehicle, 44 miles per hour, or a tiny bit under 71 kilometers an hour, so decently fast. And it's got a crew of 3. You've got a driver in the hull, and a gunner and loader in the turret. So I think this is a very good replacement for the PT-76. Like I say, it's not particularly overpowered. And while it doesn't have the very good heat round, I do think its other shells are generally better than the PT-76's starting rounds. Obviously, the APCR round is not particularly good for dealing damage, and its APHE round has a ridiculously low amount of penetration and ridiculously low amount of high explosive filler. So I think this will probably perform a little bit better than the PT-76 in all honesty. And yeah, I think this will be a very welcome addition to the Chinese tech tree, and I'm glad that they are starting to remove some of the Soviet vehicles and replace them with Chinese vehicles. Anyway, just a quick video on the Object 211. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll join me for more videos like this. I've been Tyranno, and I'll see you next time.